Hello, and good morning, and welcome to the Wise Men. There's only two of us. We may have a third joining us. It may or may not be Dave. It may or may not be his replacement.
It is us.
Yeah, Dave is a little bit absent at the minute. We are sending our best wishes to him. He's a
Convalescing.
little bit under the weather. Yeah, he sounded pretty rough when I spoke to him on Sunday.
Yeah.
Didn't sound his usual chipper self, which is what we come to expect with Dave. So it's Justin and I, and we may have a special person joining us very shortly. But yeah, a lot to unpack, Justin. We've had Bitcoin go up. We've had Bitcoin go down. Do we see Bitcoin go back up, or do we see Bitcoin continue going down?
I don't know. I cleared a fresh chart this morning to kind of look at it, and it's a bit. Obviously, the market makers, by the looks of things, are making a really nice ascending channel with it all. But it's just, I thought we would be going up. I was expecting more from October. Not necessarily Bitcoin made an okay rally, but it still looks weakish shit to me. It doesn't look like it's about to change tact. Probably have a breakout. Yeah, it's just I thought that liquidation would form the base, but maybe not. I'm just trying to work it out. I will chuck some charts up in a bit, but I'm not overly confident that the bottom potentially in, which I thought it would be, unfortunately. But yeah. I said to you earlier, it's kind of, you look at the bond market at or getting close to support. Gold is just law to itself. If the stock market's going up, so is gold. If the stock market's going down, so is gold. Gold going up. It's just the relentless beast that it is. So bonds, yeah, and I've seen some pretty wild predictions of where gold goes to next.
Wilder than Dave's 16,000.
Not quite wild. That is that's mega. But if north of 5,000, I think we're going to have a push because it looks like the government shutdown is going to be coming to an end, or at least you're going to get some CPI data on Friday.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting. That because we haven't had any data at all. All we've had is sort of independent modelling, and the independent modelling hasn't been particularly good.
And I think most people just go whatever. Look, as we know, or as we can surmise, that for the most part, the data is already known by markets, or they have a pretty good handle. And then, so it's just either gets front run or they use it as whatever catalyst that they need to.
Yeah, 100%. They know. I always say this: like if you've got a $1 billion, a multi-billion, a hedge fund that's looking after hundreds of billions of dollars, they probably pay economists that you could get nowhere near.
Yes, I think they got a pretty good handle. So it's not like the data comes out and they go, oh!
Yeah, they know what to expect. And I think you also have the economic eye test. Was always taught to me when I did economics. It's you've got the economics that you see in the stats, and you've got the economics that you see with your eyes. And I think from the eye perspective, we're seeing a job market that gets weaker and weaker. I mean, you only have to go on LinkedIn to see the state of the job market is not particularly pleasant. So I think you can sort of surmise from that. People can see inflation because the prices are creeping up again. And people can feel that lack of growth because nobody's getting richer, apart from obviously those who are following the wise men signals. But yeah, it feels like stagflation. The data will probably at some point back that up, but I think from an economic eye test, you can sort of feel that that's the direction of travel.
Yeah. It's just got that feel to me. When I looked at stuff this morning, like some of the bonds are definitely testing support. I'll chuck some charts up now. If you want to do that.
Yeah, I noticed one thing that caught my eye when I looked at the bonds this morning is that we're seeing a lot of movement in the 1 year, which indicates that to me that that's more immediate profit taking.
Yeah. Well, like if you look at the 30, I mean, I'd imagine we're getting towards support there. That's the UK. Japan is mental where their bonds have gone. I mean, their economy must be hurting a lot.
They've just had an election, haven't they? Was it yesterday that the new leader was elected?
Well, last week they had the lady, didn't they? But then could she not form a coalition?
Yeah. I think I read somewhere that they've got the government now.
Yeah.
But obviously you see some of the UK stuff. I mean, headline on Bloomberg: UK borrowing overshoots by 7.2 billion before budget.
I mean, just looking at this looks like to me it's a very nice, pretty pattern. But I was looking at this kind of area here as a retest. Worst case scenario, probably retest this base of these candles. But it looks to me that this is going to be that there's profit taking.
Yeah,
nice high taken. Obviously, the close is pretty much on these highs. So just.
And I think there's a lot of volatility being played on that. I think with gold being as volatile as what it is, I think we're seeing a lot more sort of switching between the two.
The Japan one is the one
Japan one is
on the long end is just
the Japan one is nuts. I think just for those watching who maybe aren't as well versed in sort of macroeconomics, can you just give a sort of quick overview on what these mean for number go up? Like, how does this relate to people's gold, crypto, general?
Well, bond market is obviously, for those that don't know, that it's borrowing the government borrowing money from other countries, companies, pension funds for basically paying for stuff now and then just putting it on the credit card basically to pay at a later date. So it does have an impact on individual borrowing in the countries and stuff like that. And you look at, so these will be, if you look at like the borrowing rates in the UK, we're seeing mortgage rates generally coming down.
Yeah.
Whereas this is at biblically bad levels.
This is horrendous.
25 years or so.
And that gap above is quite scary.
Yeah. And I do expect that we will maybe knob about a bit and then probably have one last reach before apocalypse.
Yeah.
But it's generally speaking, if you look at the wonderful world of crypto that topped out so far, 4 trillion? The global bond market's 150 trillion.
Yeah, it's nuts.
So you see a few basis point cut or drops in how this is the amount of capital that then frees up. Is just biblical. So it basically affects it, and you have people look at the 30-year, but really the main markers are probably 5 and 10.
5 and 10, that's short end.
Yeah. So that's it's far enough out, but it's going to affect the more in place governments for now. And then obviously, if your costs of borrowing going up, then out of your pie that you're trying to distribute to go, right, we've got to pay teachers, we've got to pay for the NHS, we've got to pay for military. But our costs have just gone up to borrow, so straight away you're going to have to raise taxes, or you need that inflationary growth. So if this is going up and inflation isn't, you're not collecting as much tax, and then you can run into some big problems.
That's where you go into the death spiral. And I think one thing I've noticed in the credit markets that's quite interesting is certainly, obviously we've talked about AI and too much into it, but I think now with a lot of the AI infrastructure projects also raising a lot of money, I think we're seeing a lot more of those traditional bond investors who maybe would have gone into 30-year government bonds who can achieve a similar yield by going for like Oracle's 40-year bonds. There's a lot more of a preference, and I think we're seeing the appetite for these bonds begin to dwindle. I mean, you only have to look so much at the recent auctions. The auctions, there's been so much less demand for these bonds than there previously been, despite there being more money in circulation. I think the bond police are just beginning to push this up and up and up and up, and it does feel like it's getting to a tipping point. If anyone wants to go a little bit deeper on this, Justin and I did do a macro masterclass back a while ago on the channel, so check that out, and I'm sure we'll get another one in soon. But I think the bonds are a very interesting market. I urge anyone in crypto if you're a trader of whatever asset, to always have these on your charts, on your watch list, because I think it's quite a good indicator. Certainly for gold, it's quite interesting. I know sort of the trigger for the big short previously that we had was the long end bonds ticking up, which is an indicator that you're seeing money begin to flow into those, and that typically comes from assets like gold.
Yeah, but the thing is, just looking at this, if you look at the UK, what have we got next month? Got a nice little budget coming up.
Yeah.
So if you're for the Elliott waivers out there, this is like your corrective pattern. So this is the top of the range, and then you've got, I would say we're in the top here. If it's like an ABC correction, ABCDE correction, that we've got this last leg down, and then this should then, what's that not going on there? This should go like this and then make a new high. Then you should, like from account perspective, start seeing a kind of pullback like this, which would also coincide quite nicely with an anticipated market crash that we think is coming down the pipe. So the definitely looks that way. And if you look at the US, is slightly different in the setup, but it looks like this is going to get swept at some point. It looks primed. The 10-year looks like it's actually rounding off. So to me, this might be front running the rest of it. So if we start breaking like these lows here, this could start seeing the breakdown in the bond in the 10-year in the US, which could be a bit of a lead indicator to what's going to come with the stock market. Yeah,
100%. And you can actually see these if you've got TradingView. There's a button down at the bottom where you have the macro view, where you can search all kind of macro indicators. There's also quite an interesting yield curve tool that will show you the what's called the yield curve. So essentially, what yields are on which duration of bond coupon, and they're quite an interesting one. I know we talk a lot about inverted yield curves, but that's quite a good indicator of when things begin to get a little bit awry, certainly in the markets.
Yeah, but it kind of coincides. If you then look at so that's kind of the view on the bond market. My personal view on the dollar, that we're going to see a bit of a rally over which is, for those that are tuning in for crypto, this going up here, not good for crypto. But I can see us pushing back into this range here, and then rejecting, which will be good for crypto. But the next, unless I'm reading it wrong, I would say the next couple of weeks for crypto could be more pain, or best case is probably just working in a range. But I'll get to that in a second.
Building that base. But we saw all-time high on the Nasdaq, and stocks continued to just go nuts.
This looks to me like if you last week, when a lot of people were panicking on Friday, of the market going nuts, I longed Solana, but that was off the basis of that we was going to retest the liquidity that's sat here, and funny enough, it hit, and then pretty much all the bottoming happened on crypto at that time, and then subsequent rally. I can see us forming a bit of a range over the next week or two.
Yeah.
On the S&P, and then I think we're going to see a kick on, which again kind of looks similar-ish to how the bonds are setting up. So that's stock market, and then German. That's pretty similar, isn't it? Mag 7, the ETF is obviously looking exactly the same.
Well, Mag 7's interesting because obviously we had Apple break its all-time high yesterday on optimism. Obviously, Tesla's creeping up. The real bellwether for Tesla is obviously we've got earnings tomorrow. Whether those earnings live up to what is being rallied up to, I guess remains to be seen a little bit. But same with Apple's iPhone. I think that will be a really interesting, because that's always quite a nice economic bellwether as to how many people have bought the new iPhone.
Yeah, well, the thing is just, I mean, the indices, Nikkei, looks like this is front run, the S&P.
Yeah.
Breakout. And then finally, maybe the same sort of thing with the FTSE. Yeah. But I think we're definitely going to get another leg. Let's have a look at the stocks.
Yeah, because it's earnings season, isn't it, at the minute? I think, is it this month or over the next couple of weeks, I think 30% of S&P companies report. Yeah, look at this.
Just nicely grinding up in the channel. Which is quite funny, because obviously everyone's been, in general, really like that out of the Mag 7, really boo-booing Apple.
It's a slow mover, but it's catching up a little bit. It's been overshadowed. Same with Amazon. I think Amazon's been lagging a little bit behind.
Yeah, this to me, again, equal highs here, relatively equal highs anyway. I can see this getting into just eyeballing this box. And it's going to go down 10% maybe.
Google's just, but I think Google was slow on the previous impulse, so I think Google was catching up on the rest of them from the previous impulse. But I think from a business perspective, Google is probably the strongest out of them. Meta, I think from a financial point of view, Meta are making quite good money, and I think that's reflected in the chart. You've not really seen the pullbacks. Microsoft was just aggressive on the back of AI. And then this thing is...
Oh, look at that. I've done a thing. It hit the 161.8.
Yeah, this thing feels like it's slowing a little bit, but I suspect it's got one big push left in it.
Again, you can kind of see this. I mean, just a pure level standpoint. Stays above that on a weekly. You see it, whether you believe Fibs or not, but look at he's kind of respecting the levels on there. But this looks like you're either gonna get something like a gonna maybe get like a ending diagonal kind of something like that. It doesn't look like it's cooked to me.
No.
My first impressions.
No, I think Nvidia is interesting because I think you're seeing. It was something I called out at the start of the year that I thought AMD would outperform, and I think you're potentially seeing some flow out of Nvidia and into AMD. And it may be a case that when AMD begins to run out of steam, you see a little bit more flow back into this.
Where if it does come down, if you shorten it, I would say be really careful about the 150 area. It's a psychological level, but also there's liquidity there. But to me, that would be probably a decent TP area and or decent long.
Yeah. And then good old Tesla. Hugo and I are both long on Tesla.
This is gonna,
good afternoon.
This is gonna nuke, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm ready to take profits at some point soon.
Don't you think? Oh, sorry.
Sorry, no, go Hugo.
No, for me, like I was looking at Tesla. I think we should get higher before we go down. Don't you think so? Grab some liquidity.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's looking at the other charts. It will probably be below here that it tops out. So then you've got that lower high, and then it's a case of does it hold kind of support around this kind of level? Yeah.
But the support down there. Yeah, okay, it seems logical. That's quite some big move down for Tesla then.
And the thing is, it does, obviously, as we know, it can have catastrophic run-ups. And you can have, like, I think when we started this move down here, that was off the basis of them having their worst earnings or the worst numbers call ever. You go, clearly front run. This is either just going to go absolutely nuts like this, but I would guess this is front running whatever the earnings is, and then it's going to.
Yeah, because I think they face, even certainly from a business perspective, I think the headwinds that they're facing are pretty catastrophic, certainly to their business model, because I think we're seeing the proliferation of data, which Tesla being essentially a data company eats into. Electric cars are a difficult market to tackle. Chinese electric cars in particular, and how cheap they are, and coupled the fact that they're now in a trade war with China.
The key to the future of Tesla is the robo-taxi.
Yeah.
That's basically it. If that doesn't come off, which it will, because I just can't see Elon Musk failing.
He doesn't fail at those.
So yeah, that's kind of, this looks like it's front running. And again, this is where, like you say, the economists and stuff that work for these big companies and hedge funds and stuff like that, they know exactly what's coming down the pipe, and everything gets front run, and then it'll sell off.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, there's some good opportunities to play, and I think we're seeing, certainly for those who are stock traders, I think there's some really interesting opportunities, particularly in that mid cap belt.
Yeah,
I think we're seeing a lot of really big moves. I know your favorite Joby there is having a good do. Palladium, yes, I like Palladium.
Yes, I didn't start. I had a look at it earlier, and I was like, well, I'm gonna wait and just do it on the stream. But it's interesting chart, is what I was saying.
Yeah, because it's the last of the metals to run, but it's the best performing of the year.
Yeah. So you can kind of see this range here is your reaccumulation. Look, you had the liquidation, you had the breakout, liquidity retest, new high, and this is going to carry on shooting. And I would be looking at, personally, there, be my assertion. And then if you basically, as a retest on that high there,
Yeah.
that would be my, if I was looking at it, I'd be looking to long anything in this kind of zone here.
Mm.
And then once we get in and around these wicks, that's where I'll be looking for short.
Yeah, you'd see quite a fierce sell-off up there.
And that is how you chart in 30 seconds. You don't need 60 million indicators. You don't need anything lavish. It's just understanding accumulation, expansion, distribution, liquidity. Really, really is as difficult as that. But charting it is one thing. So doing TA is one thing. Then being able to trade the TA is something different. But that's how I would look on the weekly basis. I don't know what you had, Wiz, or whether you've done anything remotely intelligent on there compared to me.
On Palladium, yeah. So I was, so that was what I had marked out from a long term.
I'll come out of my screen and if you want to shop yours up.
That was what I had it marked out for a long term perspective, and I've been finding it quite fun to day trade because I find that it moves similarly to gold, but the moves are a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
So if I share my screen.
What's the kind of morning, by the way, Hugo?
Yeah.
Morning. I was listening in.
Let's get the formalities over and done with.
Yeah, so it's quite nice because it moves very similarly to gold, but as you see, the moves are very pronounced. Obviously, anyone who caught Friday's emergency stream and caught my 12% short on it probably is now.
What's the market cap of Palladium?
It's a good question. It's a lot smaller than gold. I think it's the 5th largest. Let's have a look.
Not that it really matters. It's just more for my edification.
What are the market caps of the metals? Let's have a look. Because the other one is obviously platinum.
270 billion.
270 billion. Oh, so not that.
That's
not
literally
that
like a 5-minute candle on gold.
Yeah, you only have to see some outflow in here. Obviously, silver's getting beaten down pretty hard.
Well, silver was, I mean, again, the weekly and monthly RSI on silver was obscene. I think it was like the most oversold in history.
The most oversold asset in history, yeah.
It was ridiculous. Again, I'm not a massive lover of any indicator. Look at that.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a reach, isn't it? It's the same as gold. You look at gold on the weekly, and it's in the 90s, close to the 90s.
Yeah, gold is also oversold here.
Yeah. Look how well
Some would call that a good entry.
It's just, like we've talked about a lot with, it's the clearly changes are coming, and whatever that looks like, I don't know. I was looking at a quick flick onto oil earlier. Oil was it's going to be hurting some of the OPEC nations.
Yes, that was one of my that was one thing I was looking at. I think it'll be interesting to see how this plays into any sort of potential peace process, because obviously our orange friend is trying to hammer this down. whilst obviously then we'll be courting the Middle Eastern countries for money, which at these prices they don't particularly have. However, I think there's been a real push to keep this down, certainly from the powers that be, because if this starts going up, I think that's bye-bye rate cuts. Because this would be. I mean, if this back at 78, you'd be looking at 6% inflation or something around that. I think the inflation impact that this would have at those levels would be pretty horrible.
I'm just looking now at the break-even prices. I've seen a nice snapshot previously.
Because the US prices are quite cheap. I know that Saudis is about 90, isn't it?
Right. So Qatar is the lowest. They're in the 50s, by looks things.
Yeah, but they're gas, aren't they? More so.
Yeah.
They don't produce
So
a lot.
Iran is north of 120. They're absolutely getting, plus any tariffs on top of that. Obviously.
Yeah, they've got a nation to maintain on that.
Nigeria, obviously, a lot of LNG there as well. That's north of 100.
Yeah.
So the only people that are south of 100 are Saudis, just about, UAE, just about, and then it looks like the Qataris and Kuwait are better ones.
Yeah.
It's
because you've got the US, certainly some of the, obviously the Permian has really low break-even prices.
yeah.
But you're trading oil as well, or not, Justin?
No, this is just more for my
Macro chart.
Yeah. What I tell you what, I've started building a long position in. I think I mentioned this in CSE Discord that I'd be looking to do it. Is natural gas. It feels like on this has a run in it. Obviously, it did a 10% day yesterday.
Oh.
But this, I mean, look at it. That's what Russia invading Ukraine did for the world. But this feels like a little bit of a retest, and this, you tend to see a move on this in the run up to winter anyway, because obviously a lot of Europe runs on heating. I think the advent of AI and the power needs that has also will play a factor in this. Plus,
100%.
Russian supplies offline. The Russian supplies that are online are now dependent on Mr. Orange Man giving them missiles, will be within missile range.
Yeah. That looks to me. Obviously, Israel and Gaza's back to bombing again. So that didn't last very long, did it?
No.
But
it already happened in the weekend.
Yeah. But obviously the focus, there's not much I've seen from Trump coming out going, this is an outrageous, we're now going in to finish the job kind of thing. And the attention has been turned much more towards Russia, Ukraine again.
Yeah.
The conspiracy theorist in me says it's all going to come to a crescendo together. I think. So obviously the other thing we've got next Wednesday, is it? Rate cuts?
Yes.
Yeah, it's Fed.
What do you reckon? What are we thinking?
I think a quarter.
Yeah.
A quarter.
A quarter is like what we are doing with. It could be interesting. Maybe they will go a little bit more if we get like really bad CPI data. Yeah,
the issue they have though with going halves, and I think you see this certainly in the UK as well, and their play thinking is when they cut by half, it then opens up the question of should they have A, done it earlier, and B, if they're implementing half, they should have done half in September.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
sort of undermine what they've done previously.
And it looks like they're chasing it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's true. And they don't seem really strong.
So therefore, if we get 25%, 0.25% rate cut, do you think it's going to do anything to the markets whatsoever?
I think
Definitely
the markets will
not.
front run it, but I don't think it makes much of a difference. I don't think 0.25% fixes unemployment. I don't think it particularly stimulates the economy, because ultimately, until that trickles down to people, it doesn't go into that circular flow. I just it's a weird one, because I don't see where the impetus comes. I don't think it, from a business perspective, we know businesses are heavily indebted, and in all honesty, even if you cut the base rate as they do, if inflation's still high, the true inflation rate is a lot more sticky. And I think we're seeing that in mortgages. Like, there is certainly in the UK, we're seeing mortgages either not really move or slightly creeping up again on the back of, yes, whilst the rates are lower, the expectation that inflation will be higher outweighs the central rate.
Yep.
I think we're getting to that toxic point where rate cuts aren't doing anything, and I think that's probably the bank's scariest outcome, because that is their only tool.
But the thing is that it's not really, it's because it's so expected. It's not like it's really changing the dial. You're not. This is a leading question, by the way. So therefore, if we're not going to get rate cuts, rather than whether they're going to do it or not, assuming we do, and we don't think that's going to be the catalyst for the market to go up, what is?
I think there can be two, or like the Ukraine-Russia war to end.
Yeah.
Or I think Israel-Palestine is not doing too much, because and then, or the government shutdown could be a catalyst. That are the only catalysts that are like really there. Or what I'm interested in, I didn't read up too much about what is happening today with the Fed and all the crypto projects like Chainlink, Coinbase.
Yeah, I'm not really that fussed about that narrative. I don't think that's going to send it. I think it's not going to be rate cuts. I think the only newsworthy event is, yes, I think the government reopening is going to have an impact on market weight, because you're going to have a flurry of therefore data that comes out, and that data is probably going to cause turmoil. Is that going to be catalyst enough to send it? Don't know. I think it comes down to, I think it's going to be Russia, Ukraine.
But on the other side, like, what was the real catalyst that's run it up like in 2021?
Stimulus checks.
Yeah,
it was stimulus checks. People, and I think that was slightly different, because it wasn't institutional money led. That was led mainly by retail, and we saw that massive injection of QE at once, because that bull run wasn't limited to just crypto. We saw stocks go absolutely nuts.
But this is the thing, looking at the previous bits and pieces at the start of the screen, bonds look like they're going to bounce, right? Or getting very close to retesting decent support. The stock market looks like it's compressing, ready for another move. So, and then crypto, we hope it's going to move. So, to me, we are going to need a catalyst that is not a crypto narrative. It is a narrative that's big enough to basically go,
a macro catalyst.
We're going to inject all of this cash.
But like the other thing, like the stocks went up without a real catalyst, like the all-time highs. Gold is like flying. There's also not too much. I mean, crypto, I think BlockPro is saying all the time, it is so small. So it doesn't need too much money to really get big moves.
But you think like, what gold's done in 6 days or whatever it was would have doubled the size. So from an asset stat.
Yeah.
So do we really need a catalyst to really move if the markets are going up? That's what I'm also have like in mind, because it is so small in compared to like gold, and that moves in straight lines.
Yeah, but I still think you're going to need some kind of risk-on narrative that people go, bye, things are rosy in the world again. That's what I think you're going to need. Not necessarily that the charts are saying it looks like it. The issue is, I think you just need that narrative to go, we're risk on now, and we're going to just suddenly, there's going to be an inflow of $50 trillion across the globe markets.
I think what could be an interesting catalyst, and it's not a particularly palatable one, is I think we see some of the rate cuts come in, we see the unemployment go down, and then we see that inflationary spike, and that will then provide this run for cover of whatever people have left from a cash perspective flows out of here. Obviously, we see these bonds push up. I think once these have pushed up and purged up here, there'll be a lot of profit taking that will then look for some form of protection. And ironically, I think it'll get to a case where, given the fact that the stock market has run so hard, given the fact that gold has run so hard, that metals have run so hard, crypto probably looks cheap then in comparison to that, just out of sheer, I have nowhere else to park my money.
But the thing is, you still need the way it works. The trickle down effect is you go from the safest assets, which is normally your government bonds, and precious metals, and then it goes into the equities, and then once people take profit and that's all run, then it starts running into your lower caps, your more speculative assets, which is very much, I'd say Bitcoin's in the transitional phase from that standpoint. As we can see, compared to that's why it's run compared to everything else. And then, but altcoins is literally the bottom of the barrel where everything else is dropping down. That's where it gets to last. I think everything else has to kind of, the cards have to fall in a certain order.
Yeah. Look at the state of this. This just runs counter to this runs counter to the rest of the world.
But the thing is with their stuff, they're selling the Chinese government bonds, but their biggest purchasers are the Chinese banks.
Yeah.
And so it's basically like, we'll print money, we'll give you the cheap bonds to then go and do whatever you need to do internationally.
Yeah.
Sounds like a bit of a Ponzi to me.
Yeah. And obviously they can then sell their dollars to rotate into gold.
Yeah. Well, they're the biggest ones at the moment. Like if you look at, I think Russia and China, you look at their gold reserves of what they've been buying, they're big players.
This has been creeping up again.
Yeah. For no apparent reason.
It is crazy that this is pretty much outperforms the dollar. Like, look at that. Like, Trump comes in. I'm tough on Russia. The US people have 30% less buying power in Russia.
Yeah.
But like, I'm also like wondering, what do you think about, like, are we happy with Trump being for as a trader, only as a trader perspective? Are you happy with him being in charge or not?
volatility. I think if I was holding, I think if you were an investor and you were holding a lot of spot, it's quite difficult. And it's a real test of staying the course. I think if you're a trader, it's quite interesting because you can play on both sides. You can play on the volatility. Like even, I mean, prime example, I always go to stocks, but if you look, I mean, you could have bought Apple yesterday in the morning and sold it before close and made as much of a gain as you would have locking your cash up in a saving account for a year.
Yeah.
That's only possible with Trump.
I think we see, I think it's the intraday moves. Like, it's quite interesting, actually. I think if you go on this, certainly from a weekly, if we have, you've obviously got quite big candles there. The candles in this area look a lot bigger than where they were in this area.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also for Tesla. I think like on average it moves like 5% a day from top to bottom. That's crazy.
Yeah.
For a company such a big high value.
Yeah. I mean, you look at it a bit there. Look, that was pre-Trump. Whilst you have big moves, the candles are nowhere near as big or as wicky as the ones you see there.
Which you would also say is therefore you're getting into a more volatile volume-based market, which would then seem to indicate that you're coming towards the end of a cycle as well.
Yeah, agree. And I think an interesting one to watch out for as well is now that we're into earnings season, particularly in the banks, I think there's some real stuff to keep an eye out in banks. I think from multiple perspectives, I think you've obviously got the debt element, as we've seen the US local banks have been absolutely decimated. I think there's some bad loans. The one that really caught me, I don't know if you saw this yesterday, Justin, but BNP.
Yeah.
On the back of some of their loan stuff. But you've obviously got the loan stuff to watch out for. But I think certainly some of the major banks, we saw it a little bit in the pandemic, but their trading desks on the back of this volatility will do quite well. And they tend to have their best quarters when we have this much volatility.
Yeah.
And that's always quite a good indicator of sort of how volatile the area is. When it's stable, those desks don't make as much money, and we see more money in things like M&A. When things are a little bit more volatile, we see a lot more of their profits come from the trading desks.
Yeah. But the thing is, the MA side to me is always M&A side is again that's showing you're getting closer to the end of a cycle as well.
Yeah.
When you go into that, and then because people are then struggling for top line growth or organic growth, so they have to go down the M&A route.
Yeah.
And then you go into smaller companies, efficiencies, and they're basically looking to cut costs to get you get the top line, but it's cost cutting to actually improve their value. Yeah.
We've not seen a huge amount of M&A though recently, apart from obviously the large AI intermingling. We've not really seen any big M&A deals yet.
No. To me, that shows the end of the cycle to me, because it's basically fudging the numbers to go, and then obviously at the end of the next part of the cycle after that is you'll start seeing people then cutting business units that they have, and then you'll then start spawning new startups that will come off the back of it.
Yeah, because we've seen the PE houses have really struggled.
Yeah.
They've been slowing down. I'm trying to think of some names. I know Apollo has been struggling a little bit. Apollo Global Management. Yeah, you can see Apollo's not had a good time of it as of late.
Yeah.
But these are stuff that, as we say, towards the end of the business cycle, when you see a lot of M&A pick up, these are the things to potentially keep an eye on, especially if we head towards a worsening economic climate. I think there'll be a lot of people like these looking to pluck out some distressed companies, shall we call it?
Yeah.
So these are always kind of a good indicator.
Budget numbers in the top line, and then especially if you're publicly traded, you have to be showing top line growth at all times because people are looking for their dividends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it all kind of ties in of the cyclical of where we are in the cycle.
Yeah.
So I suppose on the back of that, Bitcoin.
Yes.
So,
sure.
Where all the viewers are waiting for calling the top or the bottom.
Yeah, I can whack a chart up and we can have a look. It's a very, very simple chart, isn't it? It's just in here. So
2 lines.
do actually have a position in there. So from a wisdom perspective, why do we see this?
well, I'm just looking at it now. So on the weekly, we simply have to hold 108 as a weekly level. If we don't, then that's not a very happy place to be, I'd say.
Yeah. Agree.
So that has to hold. I would say from a weekly that the candle, even if we hold above there, I would be looking at on the weekly the 16th of June candle as a potential to get swept, which is that one there, the low.
Yeah.
So that low would, on the Binance chart, and I know they have changed some of it, is that's 98,000.
Yeah, 98,333.
But I also would not be surprised to see a potential wick down into, so on the weekly, if you go to the week of anywhere really, so basically 25th of November, all of them wicks that are down that kind of area, I think the lowest was 13th of January, 25. So
what, all the way back here?
No, there, that range there. So testing the wicks at the bottom of there wouldn't surprise me, which could be, and I think if that was going to happen, it would be a biblically quick wick. And obviously if we lose that 108 on the weekly, that's not great.
No.
But don't you think there should be a chance that, like, for this week would be running up like to the 116 area in like front running the Friday CPI data?
So
dump from there.
Looking on the 4 hour, well, the daily 200 EMA sits at $108,000. So if we start closing the 4 hour below that, that's not great. So we're currently just below it. We've got an hour and a half of this candle to go. I wouldn't be surprised to see us retest the July monthly open, which is at 107. And then potentially,
we've got that marked out.
107, which is then, if you look on the 4 hour, where we reached bottom on Friday, we then had that accumulation range over until Sunday. like it was all in quite a tight window. So just basically retesting that compression.
Yeah.
So it's all.
But don't you think like if we go there, we shouldn't hit like the full weekend liquidity, like until like 106.47?
Yeah, no, I would say this bounces because you've got the wick from Monday at 1 a.m. candle, then the 5 a.m. candle this morning on the 4 hour. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them wicks being swept. And somewhere around 107 to get the bounce.
Yeah.
And then from there, I reckon we may even make a new high out of this. So like the high of yesterday will probably break above that. Obviously, if we make a failed high on above yesterday's high, then we're definitely going to start breaking down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to run the shorts. They'll do a short squeeze.
Yeah.
But like on the other hand, like everyone is waiting for like the 107. I see it. 106, 107. Don't you think there's a possibility we swept enough?
I think it could literally go basically at any point here. It could bounce. Where's it? So yeah, ETH is close to bouncing.
Yeah, ETH I've marked out 3825.
Yeah,
the lowest.
Yeah, no, yeah. There's them couple of candles. Yeah, it's about the right area, and then which is also there's a wick from the Thursday the 25th at 5 p.m. candle.
No, you're adding to your snap one?
I've added to my long on the drop.
Yeah, it seems also one that should be moving. Also, I'm interested, like Link went up like 12% yesterday. I'm curious what is cooking over there. Because they really tried to get like a big push upwards. And it got like...
Obviously, you used to have both got it. I sent you the Solana Bitcoin chart as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that looks right, personally.
Yeah. This feels like it was front running whatever is coming today to trap people in. Because that
is bang
does, yeah. Because that doesn't feel like that's not a natural candle.
No, definitely not.
Someone's walked that up there.
But you can see it's not a natural candle, but you can also say like maybe it was some insider trading, that they know what is coming.
Well, let me just flick my chart on a sec, Wiz. So this is my link chart, and I promise you this has not changed since March time. which I'm quite happy with that. But it looks like the candle up yesterday is just retesting this liquidity here. I don't know what it looks like on the daily, but we are obviously close that lower there. This looks until this gains above this area, then I would say this is possibly going to come down and retest this low. I know we had that there, but actually sweep below it, and then it's probably that candle there that needs to hold the red one.
I was also looking quickly at the Bitcoin stats. Statistically speaking, we should go for the 4 hour to close. We need to get like to 108, 126 to get like a bearish candle. Because we really didn't have any wicks.
Yeah. Well,
that's what I...
Yeah, so
that's like based on like the last year's data.
So if you just look at the liquidity that's kind of sitting here, that's kind of where we're testing at the moment. So it's just whether this is done now, which obviously is bouncing around that July open, and then this blue line is the daily moving average, 200 day. So either this is done or it might just dip here and then go. But I would say this is very, very, very close to bouncing.
That will make me happy. Yeah, I'm also thinking, I was also looking at the stats for the daily, and there we need to go minimum to like daily open. Like the chances, I thought 99.1%, something like that. But that's on the daily.
To me, if you close today above there, we'll take out these highs.
Yeah, I think it could be happening this week that we go up. That is my base case. Is more going, to be honest.
Yeah, I think so. I can't remember.
But yeah, there's like, if you look at the last year's data, there's 100% chance we go back to the daily high and go above it.
Yeah,
it's like
this is where I'm expecting this week.
Yeah. But that is also for the daily or also for today. But we can still move to like 106.
Yeah.
But we need to close or get at some point above like the daily open at around. What is the daily open today? It is strong chart at 110,470.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a big move still. I mean, for too longing. Yeah, this literally you can see what move down. It's like 2.3% almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm currently longing from 107.6.
Yeah.
And I have some orders going down, but yeah, it seems quite nice.
This seems like ETH seems like it's a nice little retest of this area.
But ETH had a terrible day yesterday. I think.
Did it?
Compared to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Like ETH went down at the end with 0.0008, but Bitcoin was up like, what was it? 1.74%. That's quite weird. But yeah, it grabbed the liquidity. Like at some point, it was like marked on my chart where it dumped.
Look at how well they manipulated the trend line. And a lovely retest. Yeah, I quite fancy a little rally today.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Yeah, I agree. It's quite interesting as well. I'm looking at the VIX, and the VIX looks quite interesting. That's starting to creep up again.
I'll come out of that so you can chuck the VIX up if you want.
We've seen another 2% on it today. But the bit that caught my eye is obviously you've got this run up from that Friday beginning to settle. So it may be a case that could be an interesting spot. That we see a little bit of retracement and then this, because I mean that went nuts last week.
They've got a couple of gaps to fill.
Yeah. So you'd think like that, and then send another panic again. That was a nuts move. Yeah,
that's interesting. Interesting what will happen, but I'm favoring more the upside. Also for today, tomorrow.
I think they're going to front run whatever.
Yeah, that Friday. Friday will be front run.
Yeah.
And yeah, to get like to 116, it should be good.
Yeah, I like that. My chart, as you both know, is somewhere in the region of 117.5 down to 114.5. It's quite a big range, but that's to me will get retested.
Yeah.
it's just all a bit dicking around, right?
Yeah.
I'm also curious when like alts will get like the real because they had like from not last Friday but Friday before they really got crushed. Like I mean we saw like Chainlink is still at like 20, Avax is 20 and went to 36 a few weeks ago. I'm curious when these things will move up again. Because that should also happen in quite soon.
We're still in whack-a-mole season, where you'll just scroll through, see a sea of red.
Well, did you see like auction yesterday? Put in like, ridiculous candle.
Something I held and was in position actually did quite well. So I was finally in position for one of these mega pumps, but this did quite well. This had a 50% candle on the back of a listing on our favorite Korean exchange.
What do you think? You got? We have a new way to trade now. On Polymarket, you can decide if the 15-minute candle gets green or red.
I saw that. It's interesting. I was saying to David, it's quite a nice way because it almost caps your downside. It allows you to play that leverage play, but caps your downside.
Yeah. But it is also pure gambling. And I'm curious if they are going to manipulate the market.
Yeah.
That is literally a coin flip, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, you can get some nice odds on it.
Yeah. I mean, I landed a 30x the other week on Polymarket when I said that Bitcoin would reach 112, and it was 110 half an hour before the timer came off, and then we had that mega pump into the US afternoon. But yeah, some of these alts, this is up. This is an interesting one, Zora. My other chart shows it quite well, but it moves. You can tell someone's artificially moving it, but this and Aero, I know, are two coins that Coinbase are using to try and lure more people into base ecosystem. Coinbase are really interesting as well. I don't know if anyone's been following, but Brian Armstrong bought
Echo.
Kobe. Yeah, he's bought Echo Investment, but the Kobe Up Only podcast NFT for $25 million to make 8 podcasts. I mean, if he reached out to a wizard, I'd do it for $2.5 million, but
he doesn't know what he's missing, does he?
I mean, he could have the 3 wise men for that. I'm sure Justin and Dave would take him up on that.
Yeah. I'll give him a good price.
2.5 is not enough for Justin, but he can.
Yeah, that can be the down payment.
But then I also was looking like, what do you think of Tia? Tia is like crushed to the bottom. Just like now at $1.
It's a good project, and it's just been utterly railed. Like,
I mean, buying glue is even happier than Tia.
I can't even look at my bags of this because it's not looking very pretty. But I mean, look at the lovely support trend line going down. Yeah. On the down on bottom of it.
I don't see where the support is. Oh, there.
No, yeah, on the bases there. It's just to me, this looks like it's just reaccumulating.
Yeah, and you might get
out of nowhere. This is going to just go either to shit or is going to melt.
It's money in a wishing well at this point, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
clearly, something like this that is a decent project, and I know that there's decent VCs behind it and everything. They're either accumulating like madness or they're trying to kill it. But there's so many altcoins that look like this.
It's
ridiculous.
Yeah. If you want a little bit of hopium, this thing might be a little signifier. Did you see the state of this yesterday,
127
Justin?
and 29% today. Oh.
I thought this thing was completely dead. And then I saw in the options flow that someone had bought loads of calls for up here. And then it proceeds to do 127% yesterday, 29%. This thing got so low. It got down to about $40 million market cap.
Yeah,
And
it's
when they were putting
crazy.
this stuff in Burger King and stuff, that is the definition of
Rug pull.
I was going to say
Yeah.
slaughtered, but I mean they are
Hey.
against slaughter.
I prefer your version. I prefer your version. Not the play on words.
But also, like, I'm also looking a lot at what things also. Stewie is also quite beaten up at 245. This currently. I'm also surprised about that. 48.
Hard to hit left, right, and centre as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially in gaps. It's obviously there's a pretty clear. Don't want to lose the weekly there. I think that at some point, whenever it may be, it will just send. Everything will just send, and it will just not. They're trying to break the will of the people at the moment, I think, and it's obviously working quite nicely.
And is there here also like a support band for that seems like that or that's like completely that.
You got any opium for self-chain?
I think the hopium for self-chain is not a realistic one.
The only thing I will say about it is obviously it's been. I don't even think Bonnie Blue's been this fucked. It's bad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really bad. And unless it does a dop and literally dies, again, lots of fards about that, and obviously semi-close to this one.
Yeah.
About the owner of it all and all the stuff that went on. But it's a
good project.
Great project.
Wouldn't surprise me if it gets a new chart.
But it got it has a market cap of 900k.
Yeah.
And fully diluted is 1.8 million.
So the other week, Hugo, I bought some of this. I bought some bake and I bought some burger and a couple of other really slammed down projects on the basis of going, right, for just chuck a few pennies in.
Money in a wishing well.
It's either going to do a 500x kind of thing or it's going to go to nothing. But to me, it's worth a gamble on some of these.
Yeah.
But it's a new project. It's a decent project. Same as Celestia. It's a decent project. It's just been railed beyond belief.
Yeah, that's something I can understand. But also, like, oh yeah, I think you said it in the Discord today, Wiz. What's happening with Hyperliquid, you said?
Oh, yeah.
What's like something happening?
Yeah, so this is one I think I'll cover either on a video or there's a guy that I'm friends with that's very, very, he works in DeFi and he's very knowledgeable. But basically, they've put in a new protocol called HIP-3, which allows validators who stake 500k ETH and operate a node to essentially run any trading asset on Hyperliquid, which is why I think you're seeing so many of these projects pop up. I think the one we mentioned last week was that the Venturals, the one where you buy pre-IPO. I know that there's a few others that have come across my radar that I've been sent that's really interesting, and a lot of it is bridging on traditional finance. So we're seeing a lot more. Obviously, the one that I use to trade on chain, built on Hyperliquid. There's some that are bringing Forex markets on chain. So essentially it opens Hyperliquid up to more than crypto, but it also opens up Hyperliquid as a network to people that maybe don't trade on Hyperliquid, but you can build on it. So obviously that then incentivizes node operators and validators to buy the 500k ETH, 500k hype, stake it, and then they can operate their project on it. I mean, that's the very top level stuff. I want to get a guy. I want to get a guy on who's very, very technical and can explain all of this far better than I can. But that's essentially what the HIP-free update is. I think it's quite bullish.
I'm only just looking at all coins and just seeing how bad the wicks were last couple of weeks ago.
Oh, some of them are horrendous.
Yeah.
Oh, Bitcoin is pumping.
Yeah.
Little 108,800.
Ooh. And I didn't get stopped out on my long, Hugo.
Nah, you're welcome. You're copying trading me this morning. As I was opening lungs, I just got the notification Wiz is opening lungs.
Have we managed to call the bottom again?
Perhaps so.
Yeah, there was not like a really clear signal, but I mean, I was already lying, so
yeah,
I'm happily up now.
Well, like I said, I added
This full position.
Yeah, into my salon. I added 900.
If you look now at the down move, we're literally entering a fair value gap. I mean, we will have some resistance from the weekly open previous day very high, but on the 15-minute, like the fair value gap's like to 109,300.
Yeah, look at that. That's a proper, what they call in the industry, a green dildo.
I need $30 more on my funded challenge account to get the payout.
Ooh, very nice.
This is like, have you looked into it? It's like the Ascent challenge at Crypto Fund Trader. There you put like
You mentioned
you
this
can buy
before.
you buy it, and then you have like one challenge is 8%, then a 5% challenge, and then you get like a 5.2x on your money.
Yeah, you mentioned this before. It's on my list to check out.
It is really cool because they pay out quickly. This is like you need 8%, and you have like a 5% drawdown every day and 10% maximum. And you can trade a lot of assets, but only not all gold. And then a 5.2x, and you don't have minimal trading days.
We're seeing more and more gold come on dexes now. That was one.
Yeah, but they're like terrible. Like the
I wouldn't.
Called the margin.
I wouldn't trade it because you've obviously got the synthetic stuff in there. The leverage is a lot less, but I know that there's different ways of doing it. I wouldn't trade the PAX-G because the liquidity is not there.
That's a turd.
Where it's a bit more tradable is some of the Oracle-led stuff. So I know Ostium is quite good if you're wanting to trade on chain, and Lighter added it, which was quite interesting. Although there were some stipulations, I think you're capped at 10x leverage. But I saw Lighter added it to their stack. Obviously, that's an airdrop that I am now quite anticipating. They seem determined to try and run the value of each point up to as high as they can go. I think the OTC price of a point now is something like $100. So sitting at 100
I got
points.
a question for you. What was the exchange that you mentioned to me on Discord? But what's the exchange you use for trading stocks?
So it's called Alpha Vest Market. So that's on chain.
Yeah.
Holy moly! Sui must have had the worst dropout of everything, mustn't
he? Yeah, it got pumped pretty badly, didn't it?
85% candle. I'll tell you what I like to look at, just flicking through some alts. I quite like Say.
Oh yeah, this is a long time. I remember Say from last year.
Yeah.
But last year they did like the crazy OTC deal with like a 50% discount, and then they hope to get like the same result as SUI, but it never really went. But do you still fundamentally believe in SEI? Because I don't hear anything about the SEI network. I mean, I heard some stuff happening building on ARP. I build a lot of stuff happening on AVAX, on ETH, and Sol. Never hear anyone using the SEI chain.
No. I think for me, it's the same as SUI. It's at the end of the day, these hyper fast, high throughput, EVM compatible chains are pretty much all the same. I don't know much of a difference. I think unless
But
they
don't you
come out
think
with
like
radical use cases, we've not seen any use cases that require high throughput. And anything that does require high throughput now, A, either goes through Solana, or B, now ETH has scaled through its L2s, goes through Ethereum L2s. But we don't see
but
use cases for high frequency throughputs outside of meme coin trading.
but for SUI, I'm thinking SUI is based in Silicon Valley. And I think they're one of the only projects who are Silicon Valley, and we had so many great projects coming from there. Like they should have had the best connections there to really make some great stuff on it. So that is why I really believe in SUI, and I'm not sure where SEI is based, but
Just finding a use case. I know SEI is US based as well, and obviously it's Binance backed. But it's finding a use case like what I don't use SUI. I can't remember the last time I used SUI as a network. I can't remember the last time I used SEI as a network. I don't use Solana pretty much as a network.
yeah, I'm using Arbitrum as a network lately because
I
it's the
love
cheapest.
Arbitrum. I love Arbitrum.
And that thing is also beaten up.
I said to, who was it? I was saying to someone yesterday, like Arbitrum. I keep all my ETH on Arbitrum now just because ETH's so expensive to move around. Just stables and ETH on Arbitrum because that's what I use on all the exchanges.
No, let me take a look.
But
I bought Arbitrum this morning at 31 cents. I mean, that's crazy low.
yeah.
Like,
This is what I use, Hugo. So this is what it looks like. So you see, you deposit into here, come down, you choose your asset here. See, the open interest is a little bit poor, as is the volume. I think, whilst it's still quite early, but
like
you have all of these. You choose
pre-market.
leverage. Yeah, choose your leverage, but it's got pretty much most stocks that you'd ask for. It's a good way to trade on chain if you're so inclined, but obviously open interest and volume is tiny on some of these. And I certainly wouldn't be trading Forex on here. But it's fortunately, from a liquidity perspective, it uses Oracle pricing rather than them trying to use synthetic assets. And obviously Oracle pricing then means you have less scam wicks, as it should be a truer price. But because they've capped their liquidity a little bit, which is a bit annoying.
Yeah, I'm also trading like the Nasdaq and Tesla daily open, and my strategy is sort of working out lately.
Yeah,
but yeah, the spreads on what is it called on Prime XBT are not for the trading Tesla. It opens also 5 minutes after opening, and it closes like 50 minutes before. Yesterday I wanted to close a little bit more in profit, and then they were already closed. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Well, this stays open 24 hours, so you can trade pre-market in it, and you can trade overnight, although obviously there's no volume overnight. You could probably have some fun doing some market fuckery around here. Certainly,
I was like thinking of placing
if I
like
was
crazy
there,
orders there.
Yeah, you could wreck some people, couldn't you, if you had a little bit of capital in this thing? But yeah, I think it's quite interesting. Certainly for trading on chain, it's quite nice. Anyway, gents, I think we probably should wrap up. It's quite a long episode today. I think we've covered quite a lot. We've answered some questions. We've inspired some wisdom, and we've potentially called a bottom. So I would call that a successful Yeah, I'd call that a successful one. Yeah, any closing remarks?
No, my only remark.
Yeah, the
is
closing.
I'm gonna long say.
Ooh, there you are. There's a signal for
long
anyone who's bared with us for an hour and a
Is
bit.
there also stop loss in
rambling.
the? Is there also stop loss for the signal or not?
Stop loss. We don't do signals. I'm just saying what I'm doing.
Follow along at your own risk, as is the disclaimer in my description to absolve Wizard and any guess of any.
My liquidation price is 0.
Oh, that seems quite a good stop loss.
Binance try their best.
But
Anyway, I'll
have
see.
a lovely week, everyone. Stay safe. Don't do anything reckless.
Take care. Back tomorrow with Hugo to talk about AI in trading. I'll get that in there before I go. Yeah, I need to go for a run now, so I will see everybody a bit later on. So
see you later.
Bye.
Awesome.